Welcome to More Than a Parent, a podcast exploring who we are and what we want outside of being a parent, so we can create an integrated lifestyle with impact both in and out of our homes. I'm Kaz Gaddis, and I invite you to join me to be your more, live your and. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of More Than a Parent. Kaz here, super excited to be with you today and introduce you to Jill Salzman. She is the founder of Founding Moms, which is an international organization. The cool thing about them is they're in over 12 countries, over 60 cities, including Dallas this month. We're launching the Dallas branch and super excited to build community locally while also having the online community that Jill has through Founding Moms. So you may be wondering, who's Jill and what's Founding Moms? Let me tell you more. So Jill Salzman, she is currently growing. This is her third entrepreneurial venture. She helps mom entrepreneurs build better businesses. So she's a graduate from Brown University and law school, and she started a music management firm. Then she launched and sold a baby jewelry company before creating this venture now. She's the author of the best business book in the world. Literally, it's called that, which is amazing. And she's the bestseller of Found It, a field guide for mom entrepreneurs. Jill is a co-host of Inc. magazine's top-rated entertaining business podcast. And of course, it's entertaining because she's on it. She's awesome. And it's called Breaking Down Your Business. She has given her own TED Talk on 11-11-11, which is great numbers, by the way. I'll have that in the show notes as well for you to check out. Really great storytelling. She was also dubbed a mommy Mongol by CNN Money. She recently was named one of the top 50 women to watch in tech, as well as top 100 champion small business influencers after Forbes had named the Founding Moms one of the top 10 websites for entrepreneurs. Super freaking cool person. She shared the speaking stage with Richard Branson, Sheryl Sandberg, Daymond John, Marilu Henner, and Desmond Tutu. She regularly appears on ABC7's Windy City live TV show, of course, in Chicago. In her spare time, Jill enjoys kloofing, baking, and erasing her daughter's crayon artwork from the kitchen walls. Here's my chat with Jill on becoming a founding mom and also creating founding moms for other moms to be able to connect. So I'm really excited, Jill, to have you on the show. And not to be super awkward, but to be super awkward, more of the super than the awkward. I want to quote you because wow. I thought like this is just really relevant to what we're going to be chatting about and also who it is that you are. So wanting to check here. So making sure I have it. Jess. Okay, cool. So as far as what you said, you had mentioned that there's not enough people realize that if we're happier, our kids are happier. Our kids get to see more optimistic, wonderful parent figures. And these figures, I unquoted you now, but quoting back in now, they can inspire to be like, and when they grow up, I'm going to do that over because that was almost English, but not quite. I'm not taking it out, but I'm just going to leave it in and just re-say it because yeah. As I take off my video. Not enough people realize that if we are happier, our kids are happier. Our kids get to see a more optimistic, wonderful parent figure they can inspire or aspire, should I say, to be like when they grow up. Also in Forbes, you said, you're like, I sound amazing.
Like, I totally agree with myself.
And there are moments we don't, right? And then you're just like, is that a thing?
I was ready for a fight with myself, to be honest.
But you got it. And then in Forbes, say it again.
I said, I've got my back.
There you go.
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively. You also had said in Forbes how, everyone's got guilt, right? Like, do I spend enough time in my business or time with my kids? And so as I intro you, I wanted to share those quotes because I think they're so relatable and real. So thank you for sharing them.
For sharing my sharing of the sharing. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, okay, so you have two girls, and they're now towards our 10 and 12 years of age. But how was that for you? I know it's like
They were just 2 and 4.
Yeah.
I must have done a lot of interviews that year because I still feel like telling you they're 2 and 4, but they're not. They keep growing.
I think the coolest thing about kids is, to me, their time personified. Ooh. And it's like, I know, right? Like, I just sounded really cool. I was like, ooh, I need to write that down, but we're recording, so this is great. But when it comes to that, it's like literally time. Sometimes we don't understand the concept of how fast and how it accumulates. And when we see our kids, I don't know if this has happened to you, but it's just like, what have I done? You know, like, wow, look at how much I've done in such a little time. Or
you're the greatest marker of accomplishment because there's all of your friends look the same.
Yeah.
You can't, like, seeing them 3 years later, what's new? Nothing. You look the same. I look the same. Nice seeing you.
Yeah.
Kids and what they absorb and, their reflections of you. It's amazing and crazy. And I hate that it's really only a parent who understands this.
Yeah.
But we know. It's just magical and at times tedious. And this is why my hair looks the way it does. You know, sometimes it gets pulled out by myself. Yeah.
I totally get that and resonate 100%.
Yeah. And I've always been a big, big believer in bringing them into what I do. I think I'm just not wired to do it any other way. So I have a very strong sense that we can't ignore them and we need to bring them along with us and we need to explain to them what we do. Yeah. Otherwise, they don't know. They feel more left out. So my kids have definitely come along with me. I've recently given them the title of intern. They now help me.
I mean, they've worked for it now for a while.
They really have. They really have. They're in my newsletter now, and we call them Miss Sunshine and Miss Roses because they play such a huge role in telling me, Mom, that looks terrible. You don't look good. That was awful. That's really they're my sounding board.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
That's super awesome. Well, and the whole reason, for those of you just joining, whether you're watching on YouTube or joining us through your favorite podcast listening device, hello, we're waving at you. The reason for this podcast, even starting for me, was I felt like my parents chose business over me. Oh. And so having that, bringing them along with you on the journey, it so infuses their experience and possibilities. And not only are you being an example for yourself, but you're being an example for them.
Oh, for sure. How did you end up feeling so left out?
How did I?
Yeah.
Oh, like literally. I'm like, no, like literally physically. I was raised by my grandparents in New York and they lived and had their business in Dominican Republic. So like there was but enough about me.
Literal. Got it.
Like, how did that happen? I'm like, well, there was this plane.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Probably I might have done the same thing to my own kids, except I think 6 months in, the first time my firstborn said, get off your phone or something to that effect. It took the kid reporting to me, hey, I am being ignored, for me to go, oh yeah, wait, that's a thing.
Yeah. Well, there's moments even now with my daughter, I notice, and she's just 2, like the way that she reacts if I have my phones, I've been more conscious with that.
Yes, because I think there's actual jealousy, even though it's an inanimate object. Yeah, so I'm very attuned to making sure that they are not ignored in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's what we do, put them to work.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it, though. And I do have fond memories of that with my parents, too, of like working in the businesses with them. And I feel like that does bring a lot of who you become and how you see life, how you see opportunities.
Yes, my dad made me order the checks at the end of the month. Just put them in numerical order, Jill, and tape them to this checkbook. I loved that job. I must have been like 5. I don't know. I could just barely count. It was the best. I felt so involved in his life. Yeah, it was
That's
great.
So cool. That's so sweet. I can see you with the tape and like.
Wait, let's not remind him. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it anymore.
I'm done with that, Dad.
Yeah.
As far as how your journey's been, so there's like, you mentioned how you have them involved in what you're creating and what it is that you are, who it is that you are. When it comes to your own becoming of a parent, how did that look like for you? As far as like the identity.
Running a business, or do you mean just as a parent?
everything.
I don't know why I asked, because it's all one and the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had a, I, I was
It's a lot.
There's a lot. I was very intentional about being a working mom and raising kids. I launched my very first business in 2005 in my home because I knew I'm going to have a baby one day. And I wanted to make sure I'd be home for it and not have to quit somewhere. So from the beginning, I wanted to be the parent that works. I also get bored pretty easily. I then did have my first baby while running a business and thought, okay, I'm going to give myself maternity leave because that's a gift you can give yourself. I only lasted 2 weeks. I got real bored.
Yeah.
So, and then when I had my second kiddo 2 years later, I started a second business because, again, I get real bored. But the entire time I knew that my schedule was going to revolve around them. I knew that I would put them first in literally the marketing that I do. Fortunately, I now run a company that serves moms. But at the time I didn't. I ran a music management company. I sold baby jewelry. So they were different, but my kids were still very much involved in those businesses too.
Yeah.
Never wanted to shy away from it. I did for about 2 months at the beginning of my firstborn showing up. I was so ashamed of having to bring her to meetings. And when I would see the faces of my male clients going, that's fine. The baby's sleeping. It's totally fine. They helped me go, oh, yeah, of course it is. Duh. It is a human being. I need to take care of her.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's beautiful too how either if you have examples of that helps give permission and like, okay, this is okay. Or the opposite of who you would think would say it's okay. Like having these guys let you know, like, it's chill. It really makes you kind of be like, this is okay. Like this is, yeah.
Yes, except possible. I think you're doing the work you're doing and I'm doing the work I'm doing now because people still need that reminder all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And you're not the only one who's trying to figure out this work life thing.
Right.
I can't believe I even said that because I don't really believe in that. It's all one.
It's an integration. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm glad that we're both still talking about this because it's so important.
Well, and the first person, the most important person to remind is ourselves. I catch myself all the time with that, all the time with that, with my business as well. So, so how do you resonate with what it is that you are and all that you do? How do you resonate with being more than a parent?
I love being more than a parent. And I think that insults anybody who feels like they are just a parent. But you know what? I could even say, I feel like my own self, and I don't really go, oh, me as the parent. It takes the school's emails to me about the updates and what's happening in the school that week for me to go, oh yeah, I'm a parent. Because I think my mentality is I am in charge of these two beautiful human beings. They're very much involved in everything I do. My work is a lot of what I do. So it's very fluid in my mind and not so much I'm a parent today because it's Sunday. I'm more than a parent today because I'm working on Monday. Not unlike the whole work-life thing being integrated, as you said. Mm-hmm. It's all very integrated for me. I also still feel sometimes like I'm 12. So I can't believe some days that I am a parent. But don't tell my kids that.
Yeah. I totally know that. When I go to gatherings now, I'm like, we are the adults. The kids are in another room. Who did this?
Being more responsible than us.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So with the integration of all the things in being an entrepreneur and being a parent and all the other roles that you play in, what's one tip that might help someone who's maybe just starting to gather themselves up or continue to gather? Because you're always gathering yourself up and resetting. But what's one thing that helps you do that?
For me and for a lot of women that I know, the most help we can find is talking to other women in the same boat and going out. It can be a meeting. It can be an event. It can be a dinner, a coffee. I don't care. But not by phone, not talking to yourself at home, which we all do anyway, but going out into the world and actually being vulnerable and transparent and saying, gosh, I don't know if I'm doing it right. Because a lot of people will actually look at you and say, you certainly are. Or no one's doing it right. There is no right. We're all figuring this out together.
Yeah. No one knows what they're doing, but it's beautiful what we're creating amidst that.
Yes. And I think I should add, I am basically speaking to myself because I used to be very fearful of ever letting my guard down and letting people know that I don't know what I'm doing or what's happening. And it took, I can count, I think about 4 years, sitting for 4 years among other people talking about this for me to say, me too. It's a different kind of Me Too movement altogether.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, and technically me three in that situation, actually, because they're sharing theirs as well, right? I was trying to give it a different number.
No.
So what, you mentioned, having created Founding Moms, what was the meaning behind it, the why behind it for you in creating that?
There was none. I ended up being so fearful. The stuff we're talking about, I was so scared of having my second child because at the time I had a first, and I was running 2 other businesses, and I thought, well, how on earth do you do this with 2 kids who are tiny? And I freaked out. I love that I used to say, I got really curious. Totally and completely freaked out. And I went to meetup.com to open up a meeting just for me. It was just a self-serving, come if you have a business and a baby and tell me, how are you doing this? Because I don't understand. How's my marketing going to work? How am I going to take phone calls? How am I going to wipe my butt? While
wiping also theirs. There's also a lot of wiping.
A lot of butts going on.
Yeah.
So when I started the first meeting, I truly thought that we're going to be 5 of us sitting in the room. A lot more women showed up in this burb right outside of Chicago. And we all said, you too? So we thought, well, let's do this again. So we met up once a month, and about 6 months in, some woman came up to me and said, I need you to open this up in another location. I hate driving all the way out here. So that was the light bulb moment where I thought, oh, this could be a business. And this feels a lot bigger than anything I've ever done before. So I just went crazy and I started opening up locations in lots of cities. Yeah. And we are, I can't believe we are 10 years in. A lot has changed, but that first meeting was 10 years ago.
Wow.
My second born is currently 10 years old. It's pretty bananas.
See, and it's like the timing, it's a perfect personification of time.
Absolutely.
How old are you? That's how long it's been.
Yeah.
Well,
it's been great.
Yeah. And the amazing thing, I have some numbers here, is so Founding Moms is across 12 different countries.
Yeah.
And well over 60 cities, including Dallas, which is opening this month, launching this month, which is why we're connecting too. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's so fascinating to me as somebody who's been watching this open up in Singapore and Mexico and Australia and Dallas and New York and Chicago, the vibe is different in every city. Certain cities are more formal. Certain cities, they're meeting up in belly dancing studios with, no shoes on. But the foundation, the core of every woman in every country, in every time zone, all of them carry the same fear and the same guilt of running a business and having a babe or 2 or 3 or 12. And it's really been fascinating to watch how, I don't know if this diminishes it, but we're all the same. I mean, we all are carrying the same stuff. So the more we can all meet up in person and talk about it, getting offline, the more progress I've seen people make, the more money they make, the more they grow as a human being. It's been quite a ride. And if you had said this to me 10 years ago, I would have thought you were full of BS and we don't need to talk about emotional anything because this is business, was my attitude. Boy, has that changed.
You're like, and here we are. Well, and it's so amazing because I think that in having these conversations and then the tools or resources provided online, for example, with the Founding Moms, the online resource is you're acknowledging that part of yourself that for a while, maybe, again, we all have different journeys, but I think for some of us, maybe we already had a business, and how you were mentioning having the second kid, like, how will this now look like? Like, is this even feasible? Like all the things, or maybe you're, having your first kid or into your next multiple of children. And you're just like, well, now I do want to start and have something of my own because I see the different factors that have so far contributed to my experience and looking at what's possible. And it's like, when you start paying attention and validating yourself, that power of also hearing the commonality that you're not alone, even though you go on this journey on your own in many ways. There's so much power there.
I think a lot of us get it wrong, though. The way you're talking about it sounds like at some point it's hit some of us and we've gone, oh, yeah, okay, I need to work on this part of myself or the business. And a lot of women who show up to Founding Moms exchanges, they seem to not know what the thing is they need to change. They think it's that they need to do better at marketing to get more money coming in, or that they just suck at sales. And in fact, what a lot of them discover because of the face-to-face with other people who know, like you do, they end up going, oh, wait a second. My business isn't broken. I'm a little broken. And that's a really negative word. But, there's something I need to tweak so that everything else flows out of it accordingly.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to say it. And maybe because I've overanalyzed myself to the nth degree.
That's the best.
But but that makes a lot of sense. And so, so I guess what would you share with a mom that's looking at whatever that next level of business is for her, and how to tap into some of the resources?
Yeah, I would ask her to think about why I'd start with, where do you feel stuck? Is it that you don't know how to fix up your website? Is it that you don't know how to approach other people at a networking event? Whatever your thing is, where do you feel really stuck? And then ask yourself why you feel stuck about that thing. And you can start with the whole, I don't know graphic design. Yeah, sure, but you can always go hire a graphic designer. So that might not be the case. And if you keep digging into the why I feel like I'm bumping up against this, it's kind of like doing therapy. You get deeper and deeper and you realize, oh, I have a block here because I don't actually believe that I deserve to make more money. Even though people are offering me more money, I keep on creating these roadblocks and tending to my kids instead and doing all kinds of self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Because it's so much easier to do that than work on yourself. So much easier. Yeah. Tough work.
And prettier. Graphic design, for example, can be than the messiness of redesigning parts of yourself.
Yes. So again, talking to myself, did it for years. Yeah.
How do you feel like you're making your impact, your living legacy?
Connecting people. It's my favorite. If two people in two different cities that I don't even know very well connect and something happens because of their connection, it's like the most rewarding. I think I'm supposed to say, when I hit this income goal, I feel amazing. I don't care enough about that as much as I do having other people help each other. It's just like the best, the most rewarding. I actually don't know why, but that's where it is for me.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So you're like, yes, thank you. It is. No, that's at the end of the day, that connection piece. Yeah. That's like that spark that continues.
It's so easy to me to facilitate it. And then when it happens, it's so magical and miraculous that it's like, oh my God, I can't even believe I played a part in that at all. And it's so rewarding that I keep wanting to repeat it.
Yeah.
Over again. Yeah.
I love that. So speaking of repeating and kind of having a path to be able to get there, you have an awesome kind of gift for us to be able to, you're like, yes, I there is. You have, and I'll have them in the show notes too. It's kind of a guide into how to connect into Founding Moms, right?
Sure.
And
yes, it's a very chutes and ladders like roadmap that takes you through everything that we offer, all the resources we have online for any mom entrepreneur who's growing her business. So if you want to build a better one, you will see our video courses in there. You will see we have a forum and we have a directory and so many things that we had to map it out for you. And hopefully it helps you see what you can't see till you get inside.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of when you're getting inside, you also have a code that I'll be linking in the show notes to be able to access the online resource, right?
Totally. If you go to foundingmoms.com and you click to join our monthly membership online and use code, can I say the code?
Sure, yeah.
Oh, okay. It's code awesome1MO. Awesome. So you get one awesome month for free to come in and test it out and see what you're missing.
Definitely. Awesome. And I'll make sure to put that in the show notes as well. So we know that kids are, like you mentioned, our greatest reflection, our greatest mirror of the things. And so with your girls, what is one thing you would hope that they can one day say about you and who you're being?
That I washed the dishes so much. No, I think that I love, they already tell me a lot that they love how silly I am in my work and that I am very much me. And I take a lot of risks that they see me do, and I include them more and more as it gets deeper and they understand more. And so I hope to impart to them that, you can also take these risks, and some will be terrible, some will be epic fails, but a lot of them will work. And so I like that they see a brave mama who's ridiculous and wears lots of costumes for her webinars, kind of thing.
I love it. Yeah. I've become like a whole new level of a toy aficionado, or however you say that word, because I apparently could not. Since having kids, I just I am so toy obsessed.
It's the best. And at some point, I don't remember how old your kiddos are, but I think you're behind me a little bit.
2 years and 4 months.
Yeah. So, okay, you have a little time. Eventually, when you want to take your kids to Party City, if you involve costumes in your career, your kids will say, "No, Mom, I don't want to go. This is your bag." So you aren't even interested anymore. That's Mom's thing. I know. It's so sad and so cute. Yeah. They're going to be very professionally buttoned up.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. So with the last question that I have for you is that so you've been through so many seasons of motherhood and different iterations of entrepreneurship and all the other things. If you can go back to like a past self version or past version of yourself, there you go, as a mom, and share anything with her, what would you tell her?
Oh, so many things. I would tell her to have patience, that all things will happen in due time. I have no patience, so that's a big one for me. I also, that would be different than slow down. I would never tell myself, my former self, to slow down, but I definitely would say, be patient, it's coming. And I would definitely want to grab her by the shoulders and tell her, you don't have to feel so guilty about working and having children, because that way beyond the fear was probably the hardest thing for me to get rid of. And it rarely crops up now, but it took years for me to feel okay, because no one at the time was talking about it. Fortunately, people like you are now, but it was really hard and so much guilt. Why carry it? It's silly. And my kids are actually functioning normal children now. So,
winning
winning
all the way around.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your heart and sharing the impact that you're making, not just in your family, but also globally to so many families through Founding Moms.
Hopefully to so many more. But thank you for letting me share. This is awesome.
Yeah. What's the best way for us to connect with you?
Definitely go to foundingmoms.com. Plural. Foundingmoms.com.
Awesome. Cool. So we'll make sure to add that. And again, thank you so much for being on the show today, Jill.
Thank you for having me. Mwah!
Mwah. Thanks for listening to this episode of More Than a Parent. To be your more, live your and.
Continue the conversation and connect at facebook.com/groups/more than a parent.